here's the growing military assets in the billions of dollars here in Arizona. As you can see from an aerospace aviation standpoint, Arizona gets about $9.8 billion in economic impact. The state probably employs over 10,000 plus people working at various bases. I'm not going to read all the bases, but you can see the numbers for Fort Huachuca, Davis-Monthan, and Luke Air Force Base, Yuma Armor Proving Ground, the Marine Corps Air Station in Yuma, and the Naval Observatory up in Flagstaff. You can see the numbers, you can see the number of people. It is a great opportunity that I think, other than Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Texas, Arizona is probably the fourth or fifth when it comes to DoD aerospace dollars. And I will give these slides to you if you want them. Just contact Kimberly and you can have these instead of writing all this information down. Next slide, please. A thriving aerospace and defense industry here in Arizona, whether you're a woman-owned business, veteran-owned business, whether it's commercial aviation, transportation, exports, gross state products, it's a lot of information out there. So if you make something, a product that the DoD or the federal government can use, you're in the right state. If you have employees with great skill sets, cybersecurity, training like my company does, training pilots how to fly and air crews how to fly, you're in the right state. And these tentacles also exist outside of Arizona, where people ship goods and commodities outside the states, also across the world. We have military people all over the world doing the great work and defending our homeland. And so again, there's a lot of stuff you do. And I have some very specific titles here in the next couple of slides. Next. The next slide, please. Stuck. Lindsay, can you move to the next slide?
Sorry, I think Lindsay's also experiencing some technical difficulties. So I'm going to quick grab your presentation, Paul, and I will share my screen and navigate through the slides. So bear with me for one moment. Technology is wonderful when it works properly.
Yeah. Not a problem.
Okay, one moment, I'm getting there. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, are you able to see my screen right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, Paul, are we on this slide?
Right there. Perfect.
Okay.
Right there. So let me get back to the West Valley Defense Alliance and kind of tell you what we do. It's just an organization. We work with Luke Air Force Base. We train F-35 pilots out there. The base itself has 7,000 employees, but the economic impact of Arizona for Luke Air Force Base alone is about $2.4 million. You can see the companies who make up the West Valley Defense Alliance. We are the folks out there who are trying to talk to our congressmen and our senators about bringing work and bringing opportunities to the West Valley, APS, Honeywell, AimSafe, Erkiness, Boeing, Soaring Technology. We just work together trying to get things done. We may be flying into Washington, D.C. in October to talk to the congressmen to let them know what opportunities and what companies out there can support this work. So if you are a manufacturer, if you are an R&D type company, if you have professional services, we need to know about you and what your company does. We can help you understand when work comes to the West Valley, you can compete for that work. People only bring work where the companies are available to get the work done. And so please take a look at this milestone for the coalition, see what we're trying to do. But we're there to help companies get exposure to government work in the aerospace and aviation industry. Next slide, please. Okay, now again, I talked about the West Valley for a little bit. Let me give you a bigger strategic picture of what's happening in Arizona. You have the Yuma 50, somewhat like the West Valley Defense Alliance, 50 companies who try to bring work and opportunities and jobs down to the Yuma area. You have Marine Corps Yuma Air Station down there. And whether it's aviation or aerospace, the Border Patrol is huge. down in the human area. So you may be a person who build cranes, you may do cybersecurity, you may build cameras, whatever supports the Homeland Security mission, the folks at UMA want to hear from you. I talked about the West Valley Defense Alliance. You also have one over in Mesa, the Mesa Chambers, and also in Flagstaff. But bottom line is, we try to be collectively as 4 organizations, the united voice for Arizona defense military industry, to secure our position as a preferred place to be for small businesses. Even those businesses in California who are paying too many taxes, we want you to come to Arizona to help us grow what we do. As you said at the very top of that slide, 1,200 defense contractors, some military bases and assets are stationed here in the state of Arizona. So we're trying to improve that. We can make our community smart, pay good salaries, good benefits, and keep that work here in Arizona. And I guarantee you every other state, Texas, Florida, does the same thing to bring jobs and aviation assets to their respective states. Next slide, please. That's our mission. There's a website at the bottom, and you can contact Miss Lindy Smith. She is our lead board director for the West Valley Defense Alliance. And our job, again, is to help unite the West Valley, your company. There's no charge for these work here. We just want to make sure that your voice is heard, and is heard with the West Valley Defense Alliance. So that should be the last slide, Kimberly. And I'd like to do right now is using your little hand symbol. You can raise your hand and I'll do my very best to answer any questions I can. If I can't answer that question, I'll get back to you with an answer. So when you raise your hand, let me know who you are, your company name, and I'll write this down. Again, if I can answer the question, I will. If I can't, I'll get back with you. The floor is open.
Hello,
You can just,
Paul.
yes.
Hey, Joe Marvin here.
Hey, Joe Marvin, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Thanks. Let's see. Yeah, I've connected in with West Valley Defense Alliance. I went to a meeting last month, and I think there's one coming up at the Maricopa MEC.
Westmac tomorrow, I think it is.
Is it tomorrow? Yeah. So we'll be heading over to participate in that.
Okay.
But my question is more about contracting and GSA contracting.
Okay.
Is there what resources? You know, that's just something I've never done. Not to say I never really had to do. I actually haven't been put in front of GSA. But wondering now if there's an opportunity. I'm starting to see some of the work we're doing through subcontracts with companies like Lockheed and Booz Allen. Starting to see some of those contracts and the follow-on contracts referencing GSA contracts.
Yeah. So Joe, the major contract out there today is called GSA Oasis. And what they did was they got rid of all the schedules and they went to this big contract where there's small business opportunities, large business opportunities, and they have various pools. And each pool is identified by what you do. So professional service could be pool 1, IT could be pool 2, cyber could be pool 3, and so forth. And so what they've done is that a lot of the great talent we had in the contracting world have all retired. That's the baby boomers. They just said, I did my 25 years of contracting service, I'm gone. And so this contract here is just a streamlined process. That's probably the best way to say it. Streamline it, cannot be protested. The salaries and the competition's already set. So in order to compete for certain contracts, you have to be on this GSA Oasis schedules. And the big companies, like you said, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, they're large businesses. And so when that task order comes out to compete, instead of the 120, 180 day proposal life cycle, it's now probably down to 30 days. And that started about 4 years ago. And so there's an open enrollment period every couple of years, but I would strongly suggest that is the new way of competing. They just want to streamline this process of contract acquisition, and GSA Oasis is one of the tools they're using to do that.
Okay, good. Thanks. We'll be watching for that.
Yes.
Hey, Paul, this is KJ. I'm not sure if you can see it, but we have a question in the chat.
can't
As
see.
an educational outreach coordinator, how do you see students connecting in this space?
Okay, great. College students?
It just said students.
Okay, we'll assume college students. You know, oftentimes when I was a adjunct professor at the West Campus there, people would just go to industry. And what they didn't bring to the table during the interviews was a good understanding of what industry does. Whether it's Lockheed Martin, Sonoran, Joe Marvin's company, whoever, they need to understand what happens in that. I am a big proponent of internships. And last year, we had a young man who was a ROTC student out at Emery-Riddle up in Flagstaff. And we'd hire him for the summer. He came down and we put him in an F-16 squadron at Luke Air Force Base. He learned security. He learned some basic aviation kind of stuff. And then when he went to pilot training, he was light years ahead of his contemporaries who were just going to pilot training. So whether it's pilot training, cybersecurity, maintenance, cybers or infrastructure type things like that, there are companies here in town and in the West Valley and also in the Phoenix area who would love to have internships to get that experience that their competition won't have. And so that will be my suggestion. And we need to do a better job as industry bringing that opportunity to the campuses, the internships.
Thanks, Paul. We have another question. What major employment needs and opportunities are you seeing in the aviation and avionics industry within Arizona?
Okay, within my small silo here, definitely you have to have that security clearance. And we can start that in the early process, as long as you work for someone as an intern or a 1099 employee. But I think the top three are cybersecurity. And this is a relatively new term. In the Air Force and the Army, we call this term information warfare. But basically, anything that deals with a computer, you're probably going to have a job. We have this new requirement that's coming out called cybersecurity maturity model. It is being mandatory for every company doing business with the federal government. You touch a computer. So that cybersecurity, I know that the West Campus has a cybersecurity program. That's probably job one if you're not going to be an aviator. The second one I would probably say is manufacturing. In manufacturing, from an engineering perspective, that you can shorten the procurement cycle about what you do. If you go back, I'm 62 years old, and 8-track tapes, cassette tapes, Walkmans, all this stuff is archaic. The big computers, everything now is so streamlined in getting that done. And then the second thing I think that helps in aviation is to have this mindset that you're moving from training to learning. In the training business, we teach students how to fly. They come to the classroom. We have academics. We do virtual reality type information, and they just suck this stuff in. But in a learning environment, like learning how to ride a bike, now the student has a requirement to make sure he or she continues that learning. And so moving from training to learning is really important. If you do anything in virtual reality, you're good to go. So virtual reality, manufacturing / engineering, and cybersecurity, I think are three hot areas where the government's going to continue to grow.
Thank you, Paul. This is KJ again. I just want to mention real quickly that IT and cybersecurity and manufacturing are two other target industry sectors that we're looking to attract and grow here in the West Valley. So it goes really hand in hand with supporting, as you mentioned, the aerospace and aviation industry as well. So thank you so much.
Okay, I want to say this on time, Kimberly, so I don't want to screw this up here. So I'd like to introduce our first presenter, if she's ready. Dr. Wells is an associate professor and program chair for aerospace and mechanical engineering at the School of Engineering, Matters, Transport, and Energy at Arizona State. Go Sun Devils. Great win on Saturday, by the way. She joined ASU faculty in 1987. Prior to ASU, she was a research scientist with NASA, the Ames Research Center, from 1984 to 1986. She received her bachelor's, her master's, and her doctorate degree from Stanford University. Dr. Wells' research interests include computational acoustics, rotary wing acoustics, noise control, rotary aircraft design, and aeronautical engineering education. Dr. Wells, welcome, and it's over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Am I able to share my screen? The host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Dr. Wells, we're going to pull up your slides for you, and Lindsay will navigate them.
Okay, so I have some animations in here, so let's see if we can make it work. So again, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Valana Wells, and I am the program chair for our aerospace engineering program and our mechanical engineering program here at ASU. Something happened. Are we stuck somewhere? Okay. So first of all, aerospace engineering, just a definition of it that I found, is the primary field of engineering that is concerned with design, development, and analysis of aircraft and spacecraft. So that's what we're all about in our program here at ASU. So next slide. So I'm going to say just a little bit about our degree program. Our degree is in what we call aerospace engineering, and that name is actually very important because it has both aero and space in it. So next. Our program is actually quite unique. I don't know of any other program in the country that allows students to come in and choose a concentration. And our traditional concentrations are in aeronautics, astronautics, but we now have a relatively new concentration that's in autonomous vehicle systems. So our students come in as freshmen, they choose one of these concentrations. Now, all of these concentrations are accredited and they all meet the requirements for accreditation in aerospace engineering. And again, that's important, the aero part and the space part. Okay, so next. Okay, so there's some requirements for accreditation. I don't need to go into all of those, but our aeronautics and AVS, the autonomous vehicle system concentrations, all cover aeronautical kinds of topics. And you can see them listed here: aerodynamics, flight mechanics, aircraft propulsion. Our AVS concentration also has some additional topics, and they would come in things like navigation, control, autonomy, machine learning, some topics that are important for autonomous vehicles. Next. And our astronautics concentration is more on the space side, as you can see, space environment, orbital mechanics, those topics that are important for spacecraft and in getting spacecraft from here on the surface of the Earth up to space. I would like to just interject here that as of now, our astronautics concentration is by far the most popular. We have, I would say, approximately 70% of our students are in the astronautics concentration. Okay, next. But again, as I said earlier, our degree is in aerospace engineering. And so in order for that to work, our students that have a concentration in aeronautics or AVS still have to take some topics in astronautics. And our astronautics students still have to take some topics in aeronautics. So all of our students graduate with the capability of working in really all aspects of aerospace engineering, including both anything aeronautical, anything astronautical, and many of them cross over. Next. Okay, so how do you get into our program? I'm not going to run through all of these, but if you're a freshman and want to get into our program, obviously you need a degree or your high school diploma. You need to have your 4 years of math, that's very important, and laboratory science. And by the way, we highly recommend that the laboratory science include physics and chemistry. We also have some requirements that are listed below. You really just need one of those in order to get into the program. And by the way, ASU is a very inclusive school. We accept anybody into our program that meets the requirements, and our goal is to get you from freshman to graduation, no matter who you are. So we actually admit quite a few students and work very hard on getting you through the program. We also have transfer students. So if you go to the next slide. And Again, I don't want to read through all of this. There are a couple of different requirements depending on whether or not you have fewer than 24 credits or more than 24 credits. But one of the things that's very important is that we do have a partnership with the Maricopa Community Colleges so that you can find a pathway to transfer from your 2 years at the community college into our aerospace engineering program. So if you are interested in that, then there will be somebody at your community college who can help you with what that pathway is. Okay, next. Okay, well, a couple of things about aerospace engineering that I want to make sure that everyone understands. For example, one program misconception might be I won't need to do much math as an aerospace engineer. And frankly, this is incorrect. And so definitely, if you're interested in doing aerospace engineering, if you're interested in designing, analyzing aircraft, spacecraft, make sure that you do take that mathematics in high school, because it will put you a little bit behind if you don't do that when you get to the college program. Aerospace engineering and maybe electrical engineering are probably two of the most mathy majors outside of math itself. So having math skills is important. Another misconception, I think people come in and think aerospace engineering is going to prepare you to be an astronaut or a fighter jet pilot. It is not uncommon for aerospace engineers to go on and be those things. We in fact have a lot of ROTC students, Air Force ROTC, they go on and become jet pilots, but that's not what our mission is. We're here to educate people to be designers, analysts, to figure out how to get that airplane to fly through the air at Mach 3, or to get the astronauts to the space station and design and build the space station itself. Okay, what's next? Okay, so what are you going to do with your degree? Well, I have a list here of some engineering titles you might have with an aerospace engineering degree. So that's fairly long list, and there are many more as well. But most of our students do enter our program because they really want to work in aeronautics, or they really want to work in space and design spacecraft or aircraft. So those first two are probably the more common. But if you remember the list of topics that our students all have to learn, they have to learn to put a whole airplane together. They have to learn to put a whole spacecraft together. So they learn a lot about what we call systems. And so that's one area that's open to a lot of aerospace engineers. Not only that, we have to learn everything about all those different parts of the vehicle. And so we become somewhat expert at all those different parts. And that includes the control systems. So that leads to robotics. That includes the structures. And by the way, these not vehicles, but contraptions that you see there in this picture, those are wind turbines. But what's a wind turbine? It's really just a wing going around in a circle. And so actually a lot of our students are interested in wind energy and have gone off to work in the design of these wind turbines. Where do our students go? Well, the big companies within Arizona that hire our graduates are really these four, but there are many others, and a lot of small companies, really too numerous to put down, and I don't even know all of them. And obviously many places outside of Arizona. So that would include places like NASA, SpaceX. Our graduates have gone on to almost any aerospace company that you could imagine. I do want to leave you with well, actually one thing I wanted to say while I was listening to the previous presentation, this idea of learning rather than training. A real focus of our program is to try to teach our students so that they learn how to learn, because I guarantee that the aerospace field in 5 years is going to be quite different from what it is now because of all the changes and the progression that's been made. And so it's very, very important at ASU that we teach our students to be lifelong learners and to continue to be able to figure out how to take the next step. And then again, my last little spiel or comment is that aerospace engineering really is a very versatile degree because we have to learn about all the different components of the vehicles that we design. There are really very many things that our aerospace engineering graduates are prepared for. So that is the end of my formal presentation. There's a lot about our degree that's not in that very short synopsis. But if there are any quick questions that you have that I can answer, I'd be very happy to do that.
Dr. Wells, this is KJ. We do have a question.
Okay.
Do you see autonomous vehicles becoming your biggest concentration within aerospace engineering in the next few years?
I don't know the answer to that question. We are right, even though it's a new concentration, because the field changes quickly, we're actually even right now coming up with a slightly revised curriculum for that particular concentration just to keep up. I would expect that it would become more and more popular. I know that our industry advisory board is definitely very interested in that particular concentration and want us to push it a little bit because there are really a lot of options for the students that have that concentration. I do want to point out that a concentration at Arizona State it's not a degree. So in itself, it's not a degree. And they, remember the students have to get all this other background. So it's not like they are, their degree itself is just autonomous vehicles. It is aerospace engineering, but they have this concentration where they have an additional depth in that particular area. So I don't know the answer to your question though. Right now, because there's a lot of emphasis on space, a lot of news about space, I think that's still going to remain our largest concentration for a while, but who would have predicted what has happened in the world in the last few years? So we just don't know yet.
Hey, Dr. Wells, this is Paul Smiley.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, one request for your department at ASU is that you may want to join the Air Force Association. I just returned 2 weeks ago from our annual Cyberspace and Air Conference in Washington, D.C. About 12,000 people show up, and we take the Air Force from top to bottom, everything that's happened in the future. And two things came up, as you mentioned already: space. The Space Force is there, and we need to train people to have that engineering study. But probably the most prolific thing in the world I deal with, it was airplanes and missiles and killing people in the air, is hypersonic weapons.
Right.
It's huge. And I think they just opened up, Lockheed Martin, one of the companies opened up a big lab, I think at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But one way to stay engaged, and this is for WestMech as well, is to be a member of the Air Force Association. You get the magazines, everyday updates, and it really keep you connected to what's happening in the Air Force, from space to weapons and so forth. So thank you very much. Great presentation. Fantastic.
And I hope that anybody who's interested in designing, building, figuring out how to do our next big thing in aerospace engineering will consider ASU.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Wells, can you please clarify which campus that you're located at?
The degree is out of the Tempe campus. Now, keep in mind the first 2 years of the program, well, the first year and a half or so of the program are really the building blocks. So many of those courses are taught at all three of the campuses. And that would include the West Campus as well.
Thank you. Paul, before you move on to our next presenter, I just want to
Sure.
give a proper thank you to the ASU West Campus. As I mentioned, ASU is our title sponsor for this Industry Spotlight series, and the following ASU entities bring this effort to the West Valley, including the ASU College of Health Solutions, the ASU Edson College of Nursing and Health Innovation, ASU New College of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences, and the ASU Office of Government and Community Engagement. So thank you so much to ASU West Campus for your support of the West Valley Industry Spotlight Series.
Thank you, KJ. Our next presenter is Mr. Daryl Miller, a Senior Manager of Technical Operations at United Airlines. The position consists of managing the maintenance on aircraft and the technicians that perform work in six cities that include Phoenix, Las Vegas, Dallas, Austin, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, and New Orleans. Mr. Miller started as an aircraft technician with Continental Airlines in 1987 and has worked as a technician, a lead technician, supervisor, manager, and senior manager in the technical operations divisions with Continental Airlines and a subsequent merger with United Airlines. Mr. Miller is currently based in Phoenix and is working on the Aviation Maintenance School at WestMec. Mr. Miller is looking forward to passing on that experience to students there. Mr. Miller, welcome, and I see your safety vest on the wall behind you, so safety kind of guy. Thank you, Mr. Miller. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Paul. Glad to be here. And I'll first speak a little bit about United Airlines and the state of the company and the industry. At this point, you know, obviously COVID affected all of us, but as 2021 has moved along, domestically, United Airlines has grown and grown and grown, a really strong domestic year for us. Unfortunately, a lot of our stuff is international travel and a lot of international lockdown. But as we come out of COVID, which we will, we're well postured with airplanes, people, and route structure to pick back up on the international market, and probably as well as anybody in the industry. So the outlook, I think, is really strong. You know, we are kind of users for Dr. Wells's people. We have a huge engineering department, and we do hire a lot of summer interns in that group. So Dr. Wells, if you can send people our way, we would greatly appreciate that. Locally, as mentioned, I'm affiliating with WestMec's Aviation Maintenance School over in Glendale. I think it's important that all of us give back to the kids out there. In my role, going through that same school 35 years ago, it was important to see that there's hope in the industry out there. You go to school for anything and you hope you come out of it on top of the world. So I met with a group of students a couple of weeks ago out there, and it was really probably better for me than it was for them to see all the young faces across the room and all the hope and things. And I think also important to them that they can see the opportunities that are really out there in the real world. So also, locally, United has their Aviate pilot school. It's located at West Wind Aeronautical. It is a school to help people that have fewer opportunities to get into the pilot world, whether it be financially or whatever the case may be. So out of that school, 70% of the students will either be female, people of color, whatever it might be. Diversity is a big thing with the Aviate School for pilots out at, out at Westland. So those are a couple local things we have. Obviously, United is a global company. Growth is continuing. We just placed an order for 370 new aircraft. So we will be needing a lot of people in the coming years. On the pilot side, probably 10,000 pilots over the next decade. United will be needing, and probably pretty close to that same thing for technicians. So great things out there. Don't have a real big presentation like some of you. As Paul mentioned, I started as a technician, and in our tech ops department, we are currently hiring technicians in most of our hub stations. Unfortunately, there's nothing in Phoenix for us right now, but we're hiring people in Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, Newark, Chicago, all over the place. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And over the next 5 years, a lot of our group is my age and my time with the company. So there'll be a lot of new opportunities and new job openings coming out there. So for anyone that's out there listening, for any work group at United, united.com, go to the bottom left of the page and it says careers, and open that up. And you can scroll down through there and see all the openings and places, different positions that are available. And that is kind of where I'm at with my presentation. I will say for Dr. Wells, so we are working with Boom Aviation out of Denver for some supersonic travel. That new airplane is being developed. You'd be talking San Francisco to Tokyo in 6 hours, much along the size of the Concorde.
Mm-hmm.
We're also working with Heart Aviation to develop electric airplanes, 19-seat airplanes that will shuttle people from downtown locations to the hub airports. If you're in downtown Chicago and you want to get out to O'Hare, that 5-minute flight might save you a 2-hour drive. So a lot of great things on the horizon. So with that, I'll be open to answer any questions that you might have about United or the airline industry.
It's interesting, Mr. Miller. At our Air Force Symposium a couple of weeks ago, Washington, D.C., to show this connection between industry and aviation for the military. One of our panel speakers for about an hour was the president of United Airlines, gave a very good presentation, talk about the 19-passenger jet. But I just want to share with Wes Mack and other folks on the call today is that last summer, I spent some time trying to look at my company, Snorer Technology, and kind of figure out where are we? And someone asked the question, so what kind of business are you in? And I told them, we're in the aviation business, we train pilots how to fly. And then later that day it hit me. We're in the people business. And as you said, Mr. Miller, folks like our age are going to be retiring pretty soon. It's really incumbent that we prepare the young people to take over this serious job of creating jobs and doing aviation. We can't do it forever. So when people say, what do you do? Just kind of realize we're in the people business, the life-changing business. Any questions for Mr. Darrell Miller? Thank you for that presentation, sir.
Well, it looks like Dr. Wells has something to add.
Go ahead, Dr. Wells, you're on mute.
This is just a little aside. I just wanted to point out to Mr. Miller that I was actually an intern at United Airlines in their engineering at the San Francisco maintenance base in 1979. So it got me here.
Wow.
And it was actually my favorite summer job I ever had. So
yeah. So
did they pay you, Dr. Wells?
Pardon me?
Did they pay you?
Well, they
Not
must
much.
have paid me something. But in 1979, I've converted to today's dollars. I don't know. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So at United or any airline, really, for internships, engineering is one of our big ones because obviously when you're on the airfield, there's security clearances that you have to have, and it's difficult for an intern. But we have a huge intern department in our engineering group. So send some people our way. We can use them.
I will remember that. I'm sure we have a lot of students who would be very interested in that sort of an internship. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Miller before we move on to Mr. Troy Gabaldon? Okay. Mr. Troy Gabaldon is beginning his 11th year at Westmac. As the Central Campus Administrator, Mr. Gabaldon oversees the high school student programs during this day, as well as 5 adult education courses running on the campus in the mornings and in the evenings. He is also responsible for Westmac's aviation maintenance technician, coding, welding, electronics aviation drone, law and public safety precision manufacturing program. Mr. Gabaldon holds a bachelor's degree in occupational education and a master's degree in education. Additionally, he holds the Arizona Standard Professional Principal Pre-K-12 certificate in teaching. Mr. Gabaldon has taught both at the high school and at the community college level. Finally, he has over 35 years experience in the occupational world. Troy, welcome to the conference. The floor is yours, sir.
Morning, everyone. How you doing? Again, my name is Troy Gabaldon. I am the Central Campus Administrator. And like Paul said, I've been here for 11 years. And today we're going to be talking about our aviation and avionics programs. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So kind of, just give everybody kind of what we do. Westmic is a public school. And we do offer a variety of programs from health, manufacturing, transportation. We offer plenty of CTE programs, but sometimes people forget about Westmic is that we do offer adult education here too. So not only do we do high school programs for 2 years, we also do our adult ed programs that range from 1 year to 2 years also. So we do a little bit of everything at all of our campuses, but we'll talk about Central Campus just because of our aviation and avionics programs. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Kind of the big things that we're looking at is when we build programs here at Westmic, we try to look at the trends. What's kind of going on, what's happening, what are we kind of doing? And when we kind of go out and we talk to people and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. We get with industry people, advisory councils, and we kind of look to see, okay, what can we do to make, programs that people are looking for these kind of jobs. So right now with aviation, as Mr. Miller mentioned, there's a lot of jobs out there right now, either for airlines, repair stations, plenty of work in Arizona, plenty of work worldwide right now and everything. So that's kind of where we kind of looked at aviation and said, hey, let's create this school. Let's create, getting these people trained and get them out there in the world. And as we do the same thing as for avionics. All right, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So kind of the history of our aviation program. We started it 11 years ago. And we kind of worked hand in hand with the FAA because we had to be a certified school. So we had to work with them. We had to, we built the hangar, we bought airplanes, we bought trainers, we built the curriculum, we worked with the feds, and we did all the stuff we needed to do to become a certified school. And of August of 2011, we've got our certificate on the wall to become a certified aviation maintenance school. So as we started in August of 2011, we have had 50 high school students who have enrolled in our program every year for the last, and even this year for the last 11 years. And currently with that adult ed, we started about a year later in about 2012. We did about, we're averaging about 58 adult students every year in this program. And also on top of that, we probably graduate probably 90% of all these students that start our program. We graduate about 90% of them, and we hope that they move forward, go out and get their certifications and everything like that. The second part of that is the avionics program. We started that in 2013, and we did just straight avionics for a few years. And then we kind of saw that with advisory councils, and we kind of saw that drones and unmanned systems were kind of moving in that direction. And we got a lot of people saying, hey, you might want to go into drones and kind of look at that. So we actually kind of said, hey, let's go ahead and get into some drones. So we kind of added a little bit of drones onto it. We kind of did like, how do we build drones? How do we kind of do different things? Nothing really in flight, just kind of more of the maintenance side of drones to kind of look to see, what they can kind of get a little experience on it, but not really going too much into it at all. So another part of this, as we talk about the education side, we do have connections with Chandler Gilbert's, with the community college there, with Embry-Riddle. As students finish our program, get their airframe and power plant certificates, they can roll those into college credits to get their associate's degrees, or go to Embry-Riddle and get 26 college credits there to kind of help them out as they go to Embry-Riddle. So we do have those connections, and trying to, further the education if students want to go into college and not just get their airframe and power plant certificates. All right, next slide, please. And just on the drone side of it too, what we're looking at doing this year, and I'll kind of go walk through what we kind of do here, but one of the things we're going to do for drones this year is that, or I should say for next year, we kind of going to go into and start doing a lot more into drone piloting. So starting in August of 2022, we're actually going to move our program to a 1-year program that's going to go over about 450 hours in that 1 year, but we're going to actually do the unmanned aircraft systems / drone program that's going to do more into piloting also. So obviously we're going to talk about how to, all the FAA requirements, how are we going to, how to fly. They're going to get how to build how to do some maintenance of drones, but they're also going to get their flight time in, and that we're going to go for and try to get them certified into their FAA 107 certificate. So that's going to be kind of our major goal for drones starting next year. But as you see on the screen there, what is an FAA certified school? I kind of talked about it a little bit. And really what it is, it's just that to be authorized to get your airframe and power plant certificate, you must do it 2 ways. You can either have 30 months of experience under a certified mechanic, and they can sign you off saying, yeah, that this person has got all the training, he's learned how to do all this stuff, and they sign them off to be authorized to test. The other way to do it is what we do, we're a certified 147 school. We just do the same thing, but instead of being under a 30 months, we do a class, and we do the whole classroom. We do the, on hands, hands-on work. We do all that kind of stuff. And our program is we do it in 24 months, 2 years of high school. We do our program for, and it's the same kind of stuff. It's the same certifications. They get the same authorization to test. So either way you go, but for us, once they get that authorization, they're allowed to go take the written test. So when they do the written test, they have to take the general, the airframe, and the power plant written test. They do all those written tests. Once they pass all those written tests, now they have to do the oral and practicals, which is the hands-on test of both of these. And the good thing about WestMech is that we do have, we call it PSI. They are here on campus, and we'll talk a little bit about what that is. And we also do our DMEs, which are our designated mechanic examiners that are 2 of our instructors. And what that does is that once they get all of that, all of the testing and all that stuff done, they're allowed to take the test. So we are a PSI test facility, which means that we're authorized to give any aviation test. We can give all the written tests here on our campus. And we also have 2 instructors who are DMEs who can give the oral and practicals for the FAA so they can get their AMP certification. Part of that too is for the drone program. We also do the FCC element 1 and 3 license test. We have our instructor who's authorized to do those tests. And also with our PSI, we can do the FAA Part 107 test too, that we can give those tests also on site. Next slide, please. So I think what we got here is just a kind of a mix up on the presentation. I think this is the wrong one.
Lindsay, maybe advance through a couple of those slides.
There was only 2 more slides left.
Troy, it looked like there was some information about a couple of other programs and career trees combined into that presentation.
Yeah, do you want me just to share mine?
Lindsay, can you allow that to happen?
Give me 1 second. Maybe I cannot let that happen. It won't allow me to do that.
Troy, do you see an option to share your screen there at the bottom?
Yep, it just says it's disabled.
Oh, okay. If you want to go ahead and speak from your slides, we may not be able to see them, but at least we'll be able to benefit from your great information.
No problem. And a lot of it, just only a couple more slides left anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But as I was just saying that, you know, the good thing about West Mech and about being here at Central Campus is that we do offer the testing facilities to do all of the testing. We do have the teachers who are DMEs who can offer that as well as getting their oral and practicals done. So it's good that we can have it here. It's kind of like a, you know, one-stop shop. Student comes here, they can jump into the program, they can do their testing, they can do everything. So it kind of helps out a little bit without having to go other places and having to get them done. We can kind of do that all here. And to kind of go over, I think the one slide showed it, but our program for high school and for adults, it's the aviation program is 1,925 hours. So for the high schools, like I said, we do it in 2 years. We do 4.5 hours a day, 5 days a week through the whole school year. And we do a couple of weeks in the summer at 8-hour days, just so that they can get all of their hours put in. And for the adults, we do 4.5 hours a day, four days a week. And it takes them about 27 months to get completed of all of airframe and of power plant to get everything done and get signed off for them also. For the high school program, we charge about, for the adults, we charge $17,000 to take the aviation A&P program. For the avionics program, we charge $5,000 for adults. And for the high school, where it's kind of where the benefit it really is for us, is that high schools pay for that program because we buy the books and we charge them pretty much for the books and for the lab stuff. But high school students only have to pay $500 for that same program. And then for the avionics, it's $125 for their program. So it's really a great benefit for our high school students. It's a great benefit that, you know, you come in here as a junior, you graduate high school, leave as a graduate of high school, and you walk away with your A&P certificate in your hand. And, you know, that's just a great benefit for the students. And, you know, with our advisory councils and with all of this interconnection that we have with industry out there, we've been doing very well with our students. We have, I mean, we'll combine them together, adults and high school, but we have everybody working from, you know, American. We got a couple of students at SpaceX. We've got them at Honeywell. We have them at Aircell, AirGuard. So we have our students everywhere in the Valley. We got a lot of students that are leaving the Valley, a lot of students joining the military. So this program has done well with getting kids working. And, you know, even as Mr. Miller said, I mean, right now I get phone calls because of the job market out there. And, you know, aviation kind of goes in that roller coaster. Sometimes it's not as good. And some days it's just, in some years, it's just, you know, very crazy on everybody hiring. And right now we're in that time frame. Right now, anybody who graduates, gets their A&P and leaves us, if they want a job, they can get a job. I mean, everybody's hiring. Everybody's calling me every week. I've got people calling from, every state saying, hey, when do you guys graduate? When can I come talk to the students? How can I get people on? So it's good to know that we're putting people to work. It's good to know that, giving them this kind of education and this kind of benefit is really helping them become, responsible adults in society. And it's really rewarding to all of us here at Westmec that we've done this, and especially for high schools, that we can do it for so inexpensive for them to get this kind of skill set and get them ready out there. And then that last one that I had on my last slide was the career trees, which just kind of shows, it's just a way for us to engage students and to get them to kind of see all the different pathways that are out there. I mean, people look at, and they go, oh, I got aviation maintenance, but what really can I do? And these career trees kind of just show, hey, if you just take the A&P course, this is the entry level. If you go through, get your AA degree or go to a college and get something, you can do this. If you go get your, bachelor's degree or go do this, you can go do this. So these career trees are just great ways for us to engage with the students. It's also a great way for us to engage with parents, as parents come and look to say, hey, my student really wants to do this, but what can he do if he takes your course? What can he do if he takes this? So these career trees are really good for us to kind of get and open up that door for everybody to kind of see, hey, this is what I can do if I do this, or this is what I can do when I take this course. So that's kind of everything I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Troy. Appreciate that. Any questions for Troy? Well, Troy, I have some good news for you. These kind of presentations really open people's eyes as to what you do. We hear about Westmec. I've heard about it. I know folks over there who've done great work over there. One of my buddies' kids goes there for computer lab, but I don't get this kind of fidelity in doing that. So what I'm going to do for 2022, my company, Sonar Technology, we want to sponsor 10 kids at $500 a piece. There's always that family who doesn't have the money. So my telephone number, emails on the chat room. We're going to sponsor 10 kids at high school kids at $500 a piece. So that door is open in case they want to do it. So thank you for this opportunity to share the great work that you folks are doing over at Westmec. Any other questions for Mr. Gabaldon?
This is KJ. I don't have a question, but Paul, that's amazing. That is such a generous offer, and what a great way to help support our West Valley students and our West Valley workforce. So thank you so much for your generosity.
We love doing this. Our company, we also support 2 scholarships at the West Campus at New College, a single mom scholarship and a veteran scholarship. And I just believe that, don't put your money where your mouth is, put your money where your heart is. And education and training in the future is where my heart is these days. So thank you very much, KJ. Okay, if there's no more questions for Troy, we're going to move on to our next presenter. But before we do that, I had an opportunity 2 years ago to go to Washington, D.C. With the Arizona Chamber Conference. And the question came this: what brings companies to our state? And 3 things came to mind. 1, every company who comes to Arizona wants a tax break. That's how their cancer treatment in America got the Goodyear. So they can have a tax break. Second thing is culture and diversity. What kind of state am I going to? So all the wacky stuff that maybe happens in Arizona, I'm here to tell you, it probably drives people away. But probably the most important thing that drives companies to our state is talent. And talent and education go hand in hand. If you're 49th in education, who cares? 50, 46, but it's that talent. They're looking for the talent. Again, when you connect talent with our 3 major universities and other universities here, that's what makes us a great state. So here to talk about workforce development is Ms. Vera Lee Keenan. And I'm gonna read her introduction real quickly for you. So Ms. Keenan is a business services representative at Arizona at Works in Maricopa County. She enjoys assisting employers with their recruitment needs and working with job seekers to help them find employment. Ms. Keenan's career has expanded the business, economic, and workforce development. Her previous positions includes Assistant Commercial Officer with the British Consulate General, San Francisco, and the Business Attraction Manager with the Arizona Department of Commerce. Welcome, Ms. Keenan. You're on mute. There you go.
There we are. There we are. Joys of technology. Well, thanks, Paul, and thanks, Troy, and thanks all the other presenters. What incredibly interesting information. Thank you very much. I'll just wait for my presentation. So yes, my name is Vera Lee Keenan, and I'm a business service representative with Arizona at Work, Maricopa County. I would just like to mention that typically when companies are looking at Arizona, what are they looking for? Well, of course, incentives, very, very important. But number one on the list is talent. Do we have the talent here in Arizona to support their businesses and, so they can achieve their aims? So as Paul said, talent is very important. So this morning, I'm going to share some information about our programs and services and some labor market information, or LMI, focusing on the local aerospace and aviation industry. Next slide, please. Arizona at Work Maricopa County is a statewide workforce development network. We provide services and resources to job seekers as they pursue employment opportunities. Our number one job is helping job seekers find a job. Arizona at Work is here to help job seekers. We have the services and programs they need to find, prepare for, and importantly, keep the right job. Every day, we help people all around Arizona of all ages, skill levels, and abilities pursue employment opportunities in a variety of industries. In addition, we certainly assist employers to recruit, develop, and retain the best employees for their needs. Our services to employers include providing labor market information, or LMI, posting their jobs in Arizona Job Connection. We create flyers, we vet candidates, we extensively circulate the jobs through our internal and external networks and distribution lists. We do print the flyers, so we have them on display at our job centers, and we do post the positions on LinkedIn. So lots of services to employers. Next slide, please. Where are the jobs? Now I want to talk about Arizona Job Connection, or AJC. It's a statewide database of employment opportunities where job seekers can post their resumes and search and apply for jobs. And employers, of course, can post their jobs and search for suitable candidates. This is from last week. As you can see, last week, there were nearly 90,000 active jobs statewide posted by employers. I did have a little look this morning, and amazingly, it has gone up to 91,000 active jobs. Active resumes stay, well, about 14,500. I'll just reinforce what I've heard today. Employers across all sectors are finding it very, very challenging to fill positions. Despite, they've increased the wages, they've offered sign-on bonuses, etc. But they are finding it very challenging to get people. So it's an incredibly good time to apply for a job. Next slide, please. So Arizona at Work Job Seeker Services. We have computer access. Our Career Center in Gilbert and Glendale remain open every day during business hours. We do have reduced capacity. We're still observing social distancing, and we require all staff and customers to wear a mask. We have computers available for job seekers to use so they can search and apply for jobs, work on their resumes, etc. We also have fax and copy machines available and free access to Wi-Fi. Additionally, as I mentioned before, we have lots of flyers with information about jobs and training resources for job seekers to pick up. So now I'm going to talk about career exploration. I'm going to touch on Virtual Employment Academy, Arizona Career Readiness Credential, or ACRC, occupational skills training, and Job Blast. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about a bit more detail. This is our Virtual Employment Academy, or VEA, that we're very happy to offer. It's a comprehensive workshop where job seekers can get advice about the best career option for them. They can learn about job search techniques, resume writing, interview preparedness, a lot of content. VEA also provides an overview of the Arizona Career Readiness Credential, or ACRC, which is an employer-recognized credential showing competency in both hard and soft skills, both very important. I'd like to mention that in addition to our virtual training, we do have in-person training available at our career centers to support job seekers who don't have computer access at home. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to segue into talking a bit more about Arizona Career Readiness Credential. This actually was an initiative by Governor Ducey, as it was found many Arizona employers have difficulty finding candidates with the foundational academic, personal, and technical skills needed to be successful. AZRC prepares job seekers for success by demonstrating their command of key, hard, and soft skills, and as well, it assigns a level of proficiency. This isn't an easy credential to acquire. It does require a lot of work and study, but the benefit is it's a recognized credential and it's a fantastic addition to a resume. Next slide, please. So occupational skills training. We do have access to federal funds available to qualified job seekers who wish to train or retrain for a new career. As you can see, training available towards a career in aerospace and aviation includes Aerospace Welding Technology Certificate and Airline Transport Pilot Certificate. So we do have a lot of available courses for job seekers who want to go into a career in aerospace or aviation. So job seekers can access information and apply via www.maricopa.gov/find-a-job. Next slide, please. Now, what we do twice a week is we send out a job blasts to our job seekers. The job blasts include newly posted jobs and information about hiring events, training resources, apprenticeships, etc. Additionally, they include links to critical resources, many resources, including Department of Economic Security, food banks, Arizona Health Service, and information about COVID testing and vaccinations. So it's extremely easy to sign up for job seekers to sign up for a job blast. Please text AZATWORK to 22828. And as if by magic, our job blast will pop into your inbox twice a week. Next slide, please. So for information and assistance about Arizona at Work, Maricopa County's programs and services, please reach out to us. I'll give this website again, but maricopa.gov/find-a-job. There is an online job seeker inquiry form, and we'll contact you to learn more about your needs and how we can help. We do, though, of course, as I mentioned, have our career center here in Glendale. It is open, as I said, during business hours, and it is on West Olive Avenue in Glendale. So again, you can either go online and complete the form, or please come in and see us in person. So in addition to staff based at our career centers, we have a workforce development coordinator based at the AZ Tech Accelerator in Surprise. Additionally, we're soon going to open a new location in downtown Glendale where another workforce development coordinator will be housed. So lots of ways of getting assistance. Next slide, please. So we did perform some research, and here are some examples of the top aerospace and defense jobs that we found. No surprises here: a mechanic, avionics technician, and aircraft mechanic 3. And of course, customer service representative, which at first I thought that was quite surprising, but then I do think being a customer service representative covers all sectors. So again, that's some of the jobs that we found. Next slide, please. And here are some of the top skills desired by employers. No surprises here: communication, operations, written communications, and analysis. And of course, a lot of those, again, straddle all the sectors. Next slide, please. And here are some of the top certifications that we found were desired by employers. As you can see, certified aviation manager, aircraft electronics technician, mechanical inspector certification, and avionics electronics technician. So again, some certifications desired by employers. Next slide, please. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions? That's it. The lights just went off. they've come on again. And I'd just like to mention, but about 10 minutes ago, we had a fire alarm test. So I was hoping that would finish before I got to speak, and happily. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Hey, Vera, this is Paul. I have two questions for you. One is in the area of the job blast. My question is, do those job blasts go to the military installation like Luke Air Force Base, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base?
They go to job seekers. That's our audience. They go to job seekers.
Okay.
Anybody can sign up for them. So I'd encourage job seekers, of course, but job developers could sign up because they work with job seekers. And any organization that would be interested in seeing the sort of jobs that we have available, absolutely, please get them to sign up. The more the merrier.
I'm going to send you an email for the transition office. So by law, every military installation in Arizona has a program called TAP, Transition Assistance Program. It's a mandatory 3 or 5 day class they have to go through. And they do the same thing that you do with Arizona at Works, resume writing. But I think the gap here is that if there was connection between what Arizona Work does and the transition office at the prospective basis, we can probably bridge that gap. If that blast doesn't go to the transition office, they can't share with those people who are going through this military mandatory transition. So I'm going to put you in contact with the transition office at Luke Air Force Base and Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, because I think this is something that those military people are leaving. I know one thing that's high on Westmark's calendar is that retaining the talent here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Every time someone retires from the military or separates and they go to Texas, we lose that talent skill here. So I'll put you in contact with the transition officers at Luke Air Force Base, and maybe you guys can collaborate and build a bridge so everyone has all the resources are available.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. That's an amazing idea, and I'd be very happy to do that. And as well, I just put my email address in the chat. If any
Fantastic.
questions afterwards, I'll be more than happy to get in touch. So thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Keenan? If not, we get a chance to wrap this thing up with AZ Pipeline, Ms. Jasmine Chamberlain. And Jasmine, I'm sorry, I don't have a bio for you, but I think what you're going to tell us will be fantastic. So the floor is yours, Jasmine.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Yes, I am a customer relations associate over at Pipeline AZ. I work directly with our job seekers and employers on the platform. So once I have my slide deck pulled up, I'll dive right in. Awesome. So Pipeline AZ is the career matching and exploration site designed and redesigned specifically for the Arizona community. We operate as a nonprofit and really aspire to have open career and education pathways for our talent in Arizona and connect our talent here with our Arizona employers. Next slide, please. And so really as a job seeker on the platform, we're trying to connect you with the top industries and all industries in Arizona and those employers in Arizona as well. So upon coming onto the site as a job seeker, you're prompted to take a skills and interest assessment. That assessment will help align you to industries that you may be interested in and have skills for, as well as career paths that you might have those skills and interests for as well. So specific to aerospace and aviation, you might have the skill set to be a mechanic. You might have the skill set to be a avionics technician. So taking that assessment will help align you to any and all of those careers that overlap with those skills and interests. Next slide, please. Next slide. So a little bit more about how it works. So you'll go onto the website, pipelineaz.com. You'll select register, and that's where you can register as a job seeker and then take that interest and skills assessment. I will say we do have a military code transcription. So you can type in your military code and it will have skills that are transferable to careers, which is really awesome. You don't have to decipher that yourself. The platform will automatically do that. And then from there, you can match with top industries and top career paths, and explore those industries and careers and view salary insights, industry news, basically career pathways and education pathways that will get you from entry to mid and expert level careers. Really great opportunities. Next slide, please. Awesome. So once you take that skills and interest assessment, of course, you're matched with the industries that you align with most closely, but you'll also have a feed of jobs that you match with as well. So if you're wanting to get employment right away, you'll see here, this is the view you'll have. So you'll have all of those jobs that match to you. You can favorite them and absolutely apply to them if you see any jobs that are of interest to you. And I will say we have jobs from Honeywell on the site. We have ATF Aerospace that's recruiting as well. So highly recommend you onboard the site to check out those opportunities. Next slide, please. Awesome. So a little bit more on how to set up your profile. I have a really great view of the platform since I do work with employers and I sign them up, and I'm happy to share some best practices on setting up that profile and matching with employers you're interested in. So of course, you just go up and select register to get registered. Next slide, please. And then you'll want to set up your job match profile. So this looks much like your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook profile. You'll be able to submit additional documents, tell a little bit more about your professional summary. Next slide, please. And this is the view I wanted to get to. So these are all the fields that you're able to fill out. As I mentioned, so that document library is really what employers kind of hone in to. So if you're a student, if you can start collecting letters of rec from any of your professors, any of your internships, even if you want to create a cover letter around your interest in aerospace and aviation, highly recommend you attach that to your profile to get the interest of employers. Next slide, please. I think this is pretty much saying the same thing. Ideally, yes, basically building upon that document library really just helps you build a robust profile and an online presence to match with those employers and opportunities. Next slide, please. Awesome. So experience and skills. So as I mentioned, that military transcription, once you upload that military code, your recommended skills will pop up. And that way you'll be able to add them to your profile. You're also able to add a new skill outside of any auto-generated skills. So really great opportunity to just have that online presence and really map out your skills as they evolve. So if you're going into new certification programs, education programs, your profile will adapt with you as you're building this tool belt. Next slide, please. And so top navigation search, if you're like, well, I'm not matching with any aviation aerospace jobs because I don't really like math or I don't like this, that's okay. You can still explore outside of that, right? You can still see customer representative jobs in the industry as well. And you can do that by going up to the career exploration dropdown where you can search specifically by jobs, careers and companies outside of any of those industries and careers you matched with. So really, this is just a full exploration platform for the state of Arizona. You can really view any opportunities that you might be interested in. Next slide, please. And so for employers, you can go to the next slide. For employers, a huge benefit of the platform is having that company profile. And for job seekers, this is where you can learn more about each employer in great depth. So companies can highlight their culture, their ideal candidate, their hiring process. And, you know, in that hiring process, companies can highlight what internship onboarding may look like if you need to get a security clearance or anything of that nature. And of course, for employers too, you know, you can highlight your website, your social media links. You can also include like a scanned QR code in your cover picture to, you know, get applicants seasonal or year round. Next slide, please. And of course, so the platform is free. We operate as a nonprofit. So employers, you can utilize the platform. as much as you want. You have unlimited and free job postings. This little screenshot here is a picture of, once you post a role and you tack on skills to the role, the candidate matches that you receive, initially when you first post the role, that number goes up, of course, as new job seekers enter the platform. And yeah, the platform is really yours to utilize and leverage to obtain that Arizona talent and tap into our community. Next slide, please. So that's really all I have. Of course, please sign up today. Everything you can find on pipelineaz.com. And I'll also drop my information in the chat if you have questions or want help getting started. And yeah, I will take any questions. I think our time is limited, but I'll also provide my information here.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine. Any questions for Jasmine?
This is KJ, not a question, but just want to let everybody know that following the webinar spotlight today, there will be a 3-week job matching component to this series that will run through October 26th. And you are able, as a job seeker or a employer, to go in and complete your profile via the westmark.pipelineaz.com landing page. And we also will post the recording link for this webinar for anyone who is interested in watching it again or sharing it with others. It will be posted on that landing page as well as our website, and we will share it with all of our presenters today. I think Paul might be frozen. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I'm here. Let me find out where I am here. Okay, I'm back. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been fantastic. My first time actually moderating something of this magnitude. Is very, very nice. One, I would encourage everyone to follow up with email and addresses to make sure we can stay connected and that there are action items that we can take away. Oftentimes, if you have a conference call of this magnitude, we check a block, but we got to kind of close the loop, as I call it, to make sure we're doing that. So for me personally, I own some connections to Ms. Keenan to connect her with the Luke Air Force Base and Davis-Monthan Air Force Base Transition Center. I need to contact with Troy about sponsoring 10 $500 scholarships for West MEC. And my number is there, telephone number and email address. Are there any other commitments that people made on the phone that we need to make sure we have those in one nice sock?
Paul, thank you so much. And thank you to all of our presenters today for your participation and support of our West Valley workforce and our state workforce and all of our employers here that we have. We so value your insight and your professional expertise and of course your participation in our webinar today.
Kimberly, will you send out all the slide presentations to everyone who's on the call? That'll probably help folks.
Yeah, we will have all the presentations available in PDF format for anyone who's interested in obtaining those.
Okay, back over to you, Kimberly. That's all I have.
I think that's a wrap, Paul. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You did a great job. Again, thank you to everybody for your participation today. If you have any questions, we're here to assist you. Please reach out to us. And until next time, we appreciate your contributions and look forward to continuing to work to support our West Valley employers and job seekers.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul. Great job.